Hey,
Hi.
Glodean. I feel like I always want to say Glodean, 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 Glodean. That's what I always
I
want
love
to say.
it.
I know. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you? How are you?
Super. Except for my car, but we won't talk about that.
I have to adjust my camera. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, you look good. So yeah, you hit your camera for a second. It's out of focus. There we go. There you are.
Hi.
Hi. We have so much to talk about and to share with everybody here. We have it's been a while since we've actually talked, but I know you have a lot going on.
Just a skosh.
So Glodean's new book is ready. It's in her hand. Salmon Croquettes. You guys have to see this book. It's going to be so awesome. I'm going to just change my view a little bit so that we can see the bottom in case we want to scroll any information across the bottom of the screen. We'll get to the details of it. It's in your hand, which means that when can it be in my hand?
Well, because you pre-ordered.
Yeah, I did pre-order.
You will have this in your hand. I'm hoping to get them all signed and sent out by Friday.
Really?
Because the post office is not to be trusted. Press. It took it 2 weeks to get to Chicago.
You're kidding.
Priority mail.
Wow.
And so what I forgot to do when I did the pre-orders, I forgot to add tax.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever, I'll deal with that later. I'm gonna sign and send this week so that you probably will get it before the book, before the event date.
Okay. Good, because Glodean's having a kind of a fun virtual event. Tell us about that.
Okay, so because it's called Salmon Croquettes, and it's a theme that runs through the story, I decided to make salmon croquettes while I'm doing my book reading because I thought it would be fun. Plus, a lot of people know what salmon croquettes are and find them delicious.
And some of us don't know what they are, but still
know what they are and want to try making them.
Oh, cool.
Like I know one person that has been like so excited. I sent a video out with the ingredients and then I just recorded the video for tomorrow that's going out that shows the tools. Nice. And then next week the recipe will go out. But look, this is so cool. I put the recipe in the back of the book.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome. That's so awesome. So I've read most of the book or a lot of the book. So I kind of know where the salmon croquettes come in and I am so excited to taste them. Yeah, it sounded so good in the book. So, Okay, let's back up a little bit because I'm just making a ton of assumptions that everybody knows who you are. And so my friends kind of know who you are. But if we want to use this interview for anything besides my friends, Glodean Champion, tell us about you. Before you get into the book, tell us about you a little bit.
I am currently in transition.
Okay.
But if you're wondering what this is,
is it a guitar?
It's a 5-string bass that I bought during the beginning of COVID, because I said I was going to play every day. There's actually 2 basses here. That's actually my 4-string, and this is the 5-string.
Wow.
I have 2 electric basses that I don't play, but whatever. That's part of who I am. I used to play regularly, and then I got busy. So I'm in transition right now, Jodee.
Okay, I got to hear more about this.
So for those of you who don't know me, I am a 6 Sigma black belt. I love saying that.
I know, I love that too.
It makes me seem like I'm a badass in martial arts. I'm so not. If you caught me on a dark alley, you wouldn't have to worry about getting beat up. You'd probably have to chase me. But and so I started my own business to do consulting in the space of communication and accountability and process work. And I realized that our friend Steve Farber says, do the work you love in service of people who love what you do. I realized I don't love those things together. I want to make them more fun. I mean, they're fun, but they're not fun for me because the process work becomes more of a headache than it should be. And it's, it's just the nature of the beast, because when people hear that you're coming in to improve their processes from the top all the way down, if it's not explained correctly, then people think you're out to process them out of a job. Or the leaders think that you're coming in to pee on their territory, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working right now on a way to bridge that gap so people understand that ineffective processes, this is my new thing. Ineffective processes are revenue thieves. They're silent revenue thieves.
That's right? Good. Yeah.
So, and I'm also moving into the space of diversity and inclusion, because I've done a couple of workshops. Remember those workshops I did? I know. I didn't know, but now I know, because I have 2 people that want me to work with their company in the space of diversity and inclusion. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. But then I thought about it, like, no, I really do. Because one of the things that was clear to me, in the 2 workshops that I did, I partnered with the Rizio Institute for one of them to talk about the racial issues. And then I did another one with Beth. Beth with Masterlight?
Yep.
I did the second one with Beth, and that was the love work to talk about bias. And the thing that was consistent across both workshops was that there was only one other black person in the room, and everyone else was white. And they all said that I created a space, a loving space that made it safe for them to feel comfortable. And I think that's half the battle, right? Is creating a space where people feel comfortable so that they can be transparent and honest about how they feel.
So before we get into the book, because I really do want to get into the book, I want to talk just a tiny little bit about that. Actually, it'll probably be more than a tiny little bit.
Okay.
So you and I have talked offline about this a lot. And I had an experience not that long ago with a conversation with a young woman, beautiful young woman. I'm not sure of her ethnicity. Like with you, I can tell your ethnicity. Hers, I couldn't tell. She had lighter skin, dark eyes. I wasn't even sure that she had an ethnicity other than like my German Swedish, Right. So, but the reason we were talking was because she was a teacher trainer for other educators on the issue of diversity, racial diversity. And the sense I got from her in having the conversation with her was that she carries a lot of anger with her as she's doing her training. And who am I to say? I know, but you and I talked about this, and who am I to say that that's not how a person shows up? And so when I was asking her a bunch of questions, she, how do I say this without throwing anybody under any bus? I felt wrong. I felt wrong in the conversation I was having with her. Now I'm owning it. I'm owning that I felt wrong. But I immediately called you after I had that conversation with her. And I said, if I don't know something, can I ask you? And I didn't even say, I don't think I even mentioned about race. I just said, you're my friend. And if there was something I didn't know, could I ask you? And you said, of course. And I said, even if it were a stupid question about race.
No stupid question.
And that's exactly what you said. And what else did you say? What else? Do you remember what you said to me? Because the young woman told me, I'm not here to do your research.
Oh, okay. Ugh. I don't remember what I said in that space, but I probably said something like, that's bullshit, maybe.
Well, you told me, how are you supposed to know even what to ask me, Jodee?
How do you know? Okay, I don't, there's a lot of Black people that feel that way. I'm not going to say they're wrong, because you're entitled to feel how you feel, but I feel like, how in the hell, excuse my French, but really, how do you expect white people to understand the things that they may be saying that aren't right, or the things that they may be doing that flick our ear, if we don't teach them? And so can I just go back for a second? Because I don't know if I said this when you told me the first time, but if you are training in this kind of work, this is why I want to do this, because I know I'm coming to this work with a completely different attitude.
Yeah, right.
But if you do this work and you're angry, then you're not really honoring the point of doing this work. Like, part of what I'm doing is taking diversity out of it, because I think that that's that becomes a catch-all, right?
Yes.
And the real issue is the issue between Black people and white people, right? Because the lens of racism is viewed through that Black lens. And then everybody else that is affected by it is affected the same way that Black people. I guess what I'm trying to say is that the way Black people are treated as far as racism is concerned is the extreme, because we can't hide in our skin.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody that's biracial or somebody that's Asian or whatever, Mexican, whatever, they are. It's not like they're not still subjected to some level of racism. It's not as, and this is my opinion, I could be wrong, but I don't think so. The level of abject racism, direct, intentional racism, is not the same as it is when it's directed at Black people. Like if the news told us about more other people being shot in the street or choked out by the police or disproportionately in jail or disproportionately in underperforming schools, when they make comparisons, they compare Black people to white people. They don't say the number of college graduates in the Latino community is X compared to white. It's always Black and white. Have you ever noticed that?
Mm-mm.
How many people are in jail, Black to white?
I think when I think where I live, because we don't have very many Black people where I live, we have Mexican people, we have immigrants from other countries, then we would have Black people. So where I live, we have quite a few Mexicans, because they come up, used to more than they do lately, but come up in the summers and work in the, fields, and they're migrant workers. So I don't notice it probably as much as obviously you do. Well, right?
I mean, the next time you're watching the news
though, yeah, right.
How they compare
the
cultures. They don't compare. And then I want people to stop using race. There's two things I want to teach in my workshop. A, let's stop using race. There's only one race. It's the human race.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else is culture. We're culturally different, right?
I love that.
And then racism. I want us to, the reason that we can't have these hard conversations is because the minute somebody gets called a racist, it's like, then they're defending that comment. So here's the thing: unless you can, because I feel that racism is a power construct. So unless you can take something away from me, my life, my finances, my access to something, then you're racist. But if you don't know any better and you say something that's biased or prejudiced or bigoted, that's a whole different conversation.
Well, and that's where I feel like I can be real. I can be real with you, right? And somebody who I don't know just said, I think it's horrible to separate people of color. It should just be people. So
word.
Yeah. So whoever you are, Facebook user whose name I can't see, but so with you, and it's funny, Glodean, because I've been on a journey of self-discovery for a long time, but with you, for some reason, energetically, I have always felt safe and at home. And when I say that, I mean, I run the risk of saying something that's really stupid and culturally, ignorant. And I'm okay with that, because even if you tell me, even if you're mad at me or you're saying that's the stupidest thing you could say, I don't think you would, but even if you would,
right. I would never say that.
No, it would be because we're both working to elevate ourselves as human beings. And,
right.
And, I go back to, I'll say it again. I've said it many times when I talk about you, about how I went, when I first met you, I didn't even really know you were Black. And you went, oh, bullshit, Jodee. Right. I'm 6 feet tall and I'm Black. And,
right. And now my hair is blonde.
And now your hair, I really noticed that. Yes. So that was, and that you're right. But I was trying to say that your spirit and my spirit feel so connected. And so when I think about you doing work in diversity, what's the root of the word diversity?
The diverse part?
What's the root? What does it come from?
Oh, I don't know.
Divide.
Oh, divide. Right. I'm sorry. I don't know what I was thinking just now.
So why would we keep talking about diversity?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So I love that you said inclusion,
Yeah, just equity and inclusion. That's what we focus on.
Tell me, what did you just say? Equity?
Equity and inclusion.
So, okay, equity. So okay, we could talk about this too, because we could talk about what it means to be equal. We can talk about what it means to be united. We could talk about all kinds of stuff like that. And I remember distinctly how obvious it was to me that any division you and I have between the two of us is socioeconomic at best. Right. It has nothing to do with who we are at our spirit. It has nothing to do with our skin color. It has nothing to do with our upbringing. It has to do with you make more money than I do right now. Right now.
I was going to say right now, not I know. Because I'm.
Oh, well, if you're coming into my world, then. But that was so interesting to me because people looking at the two of us from the outside could draw all kinds of conclusions, but they have nothing to do with who my soul and your soul are. At least that's from my perspective. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I
yeah. The other thing, it just boils down to this: I'm not going to use that graphic. If
you can use whatever you want.
No, I was going to say if we both went to the side, to the edge of the curb, stepped off, and got hit by a car,
yeah,
and we suffered the same injuries, then there is no distinction.
Right.
In that moment, we both have 2 broken arms. And we maybe need to get a blood transfusion. The only thing that's different is the blood that we get based on the blood type.
Right.
But it's not like I need some kind of alien bone reconstruction surgery. I mean, come on. That's the problem.
It's totally the problem. I know. This is my friend Sandy. This is actually my college roommate, Sandy. She said, I love this discussion. Thanks, Jodee and Glodean. Sandy, Sandy is in a family that adopted a bunch of kids when she was growing up. So she has every ethnicity in her family. And she has never, I'm speaking for you, Sandy, and you could be actually speaking for yourself. But I've learned a lot from Sandy too about people, like you're right. We have the same bones. We have the same blood. We have the same heart. Yeah. We have the same everything.
Yeah.
And I hate that you have to experience something I will never know.
Yeah.
And on the other side of that, I suppose I will experience something you'll never know, which is privilege.
Well, I shouldn't say this out loud.
Why? Say it.
I feel like the minute I say it, shit's gonna change. I've only been called the N-word once by a white person. That was when I was in the Navy. And everybody in my company told me, don't say anything. They would take care of it because I was in charge of the company and they would lose my position. And I've only been subjected to racism a few times here in San Francisco. And maybe in Chicago. But it was like, it wasn't even racism so much as it was just, I knew that they didn't want me either in the space or to have to work with me.
Why?
Because that's just...
What is it about? I don't get this. I don't understand this.
Because it's all dumb. Look, I know. It's all dumb. But what I'm trying to say is that I haven't been profiled to the extent that other Black people have been profiled. And if I wasn't aware of it.
Okay.
That part of the diffusing is when you feed into something. Okay, let me say it like this. Yes. I was in, remember, I don't know if you remember this. Remember I told that story about being in the wine shop here in Monterey and the woman made a comment about me buying a $50 bottle.
Yep.
That I knew she was going to say something about the cost of the wine.
I remember the story.
2 ways I could have addressed that, right? In my head, I knew she looked at the price of the wine because she turned around and looked at me. She looked down at the price tag and then she turned around and looked at me. And then she made the comment that she'd never spent $50 on a bottle of wine. Now, I could have taken that a number of ways, which in my head I did. Then I thought, okay, respond to what she said. Don't respond to what you think she meant by what she said. So I said, well, you're missing out. This is delicious, right? The other day, and I just did this. This is why I know I want to do this work. I did my presentation for this nonprofit, and part of what I want to teach is cultural awareness, right? Because I think if we all understand that some stereotypes about us are true, and some aren't. Black people are colorful. I'm surprised I'm in black today.
Mm-hmm.
I normally have something colorful on.
Mm-hmm.
How do I know that black people are that way? Because I've been in Africa. I've been in Cairo. I've been all the way from, not all the way, but I've been in several different regions of Northern Africa and also in Ghana. And I spent time in several different villages in Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling them that I taught at an orphanage where the kids didn't have much. Mm-hmm. But I guarantee if they had, say there was 20 kids, if we had 20 white shirts and 5 black shirts and just 6 colorful shirts, they would have knocked each other in the head to get those 6 colorful shirts. You know how I know? Because I brought them colorful pencils and colorful eraser, and the plain stuff stayed in the box. The colorful stuff they took. The colors that I saw on people moving around, you know, some of them had Western clothes, but some of them had traditional African clothes. They're colorful. We are colorful people.
Yeah.
So I had on this yellow sweater and these glasses and like some colorful pants. And I went to the optometrist and I walked in and there was a woman in the waiting room and she looked up at me and she waited till I sat down. She goes, "Wow, you're really colorful today." Or "You're really colorful." She didn't qualify it.
Yeah.
And she was smiling and I said, "And you're smiling. Mission accomplished."
Oh, nice.
Now, I could have been offended, but why? First of all, let's just deal with the fact, whether I'm black, white, green, purple, or blue. She pointed out the fact that I was colorful. I was wearing colorful clothes.
Right.
So I think part of the cultural awareness is just recognizing who we are innately. I used to wonder why black kids or black people hung out in the front of their house or hung out on the corners. When I was in Africa, I saw the same thing. Some, I think I don't think that's just related to black people, but I'm just saying that was something that I was always curious about because people made a big deal about it. And I'm talking, when I say people, I mean in the media. You know, when it's pointed out, it's like, you know, you must be up to something if you're hanging out on the corner. But, you know, the men in the villages went to town, and they went to town so they could just hang out.
Yeah.
They weren't up to anything.
Yeah.
That's just what they did. And I was like, is this a coincidence that I'm seeing in Africa what I see on the south side of Chicago, what I see in certain parts of California? No, I think that's probably a part of how we communicate with each other, or how, whatever that thing is. So I think if we stop being so sensitive about the truth of who we are, let's just deal with that, right? White people, don't hear this the wrong way. Not you, Jodee, but anybody listening. I used to go to parties and I'd be like one of very few black people, and white people would come up to me and ask me how I knew the host, which I took as an offensive thing to do because black people don't do that. If you're at the party, we don't really care how you know the host, right? We're going to talk to you about other things. But the few times that it happened, you know, I would be offended. Like, I know them because I either work with them or whatever. I would answer the question. And I remember I took a friend to a party and I said, "Look, white people always ask how you know the host. Don't go off." So when we left, I asked her how many people did it. And she said, "Everybody I was talking to." And I had to tell them I knew you. And then, you know, we'd wind up talking about how I knew you. And I said, "And I bet you other conversations stemmed from that." And they'd be like, "Yeah." And I said, so we don't do that, but white people do that. And if we get offended, then we're missing out on something. I said, what I recognized is that's a conversation starter. How do you know Jodee? "Oh, we met at the Extreme Leadership Experience." "Really? The one in San Diego?" "Yeah." "Oh, I've always wanted to go there." And then you can have that conversation. Or "I've never heard of it." Then you can have that conversation, right? But if we get offended by everything, I mean, come on, that's why we're in the situation we're in now.
Yeah. So I need to put up a response here by my friend Jenna. And Jenna says, in quotes, your quote, "Respond to what she said, not what I think she said." Come on. I need to remind myself of this every day. Thank you for sharing this nugget of wisdom and truth with us. So that is so important. And it's so important for all of us. As you said, look at where it's gotten us to jump to conclusions and bring our own story to other people's existence, really.
Right. All caught up in our feelings.
Yeah. And I love that with you. I think I'm always able to say, wait, stop. Go back. Say that again.
Yeah.
What I heard was, or, you know, tell me again. I want to, and not just you, but I think everybody, especially in the last year, I've gotten so much better at that. I am so tired of everybody having a story about everything and being all offended by. It's so easy to find things to be offended by right now.
Yes, it's exhausting.
It's so exhausting. And I want to ask people, what do you want instead?
Yeah.
What do you want instead?
Right.
This is stupid. This sucks. This is bad. This is okay. Well, what do you want instead?
Exactly.
Because when I ask that, they go, well, they need to, they. No, I didn't ask about them. I asked about you. What do you want instead?
Right. You know what, though? This is what I've come to. This is the conclusion. The teacher side of me has come to the conclusion. I am so tired of talking to or reading something. Have you noticed this? People write in second person. Like they'll say they'll say you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can think of an example, of course.
I know what you're saying.
Instead of saying how they feel.
Yeah. People always do this. People seem to.
Right.
No, you're the one. So say it. Own it. Yeah.
But it's because that's the way they've been taught.
Mm.
I honestly think that a large majority of the people in this country have been taught to write in second person, have been taught to think in second person because and have had their critical thinking marginalized or minimized because they took it out of the schools. But I used to teach at Chicago State, and I taught them, you know, when you're an adjunct professor, they give you the shit classes. And I used to teach, for lack of a better descriptor, it was remedial writing. It was the writing class that they needed so that they could pass the placement exam to actually get into the school, into the English program. And my students used to write in second person to the extent that I got to a point where I would put it in the syllabus that if you come in the class writing that way, my goal is to change that. Because you should either write in first or third person, and in college, you should write in third person, which means you should be connected to what you're saying.
Yeah.
And
own it.
Be connected if you're saying you.
Yeah, and I think what happens, I don't. In this easily offended world we are in right now, we're afraid to say what political party we're for. We're afraid to say what our favorite color is. We're afraid to say what our favorite food is because somebody will say, "You like that?"
Right.
And it doesn't make any sense when. And this is for me, and probably for you. My biggest hope and dream and goal is to connect. Is to find that place where we connect. We could disagree about everything, you and I, but if I kept going, I would find that we both liked salmon croquettes. I've never had them before, but I bet I like them. But that is so important.
Yeah. I mean, it's first of all, it's so simple. Like, I didn't grow up in a household. I have been thinking about this a lot because, you know, I've said a lot, and you've probably heard me say that my mom exposed me to everything. So I never felt like I didn't belong somewhere.
Right.
What I recognized, though, the other day, I was thinking about this. What I didn't have access to was how knowledge is power to the extent that I could go get a job. I mean, the whole point of me going to college in my mom's or my family's position was so that I could get a job, but it wasn't explained to me in a way that made me want to do it. Like, I'm the rebellious one. So if you tell me I have to do something, I'm doing the opposite. Like, really, I'm not going to, my aunt told me when I was somewhere 16, 17, if you don't go to college, you won't make any money. So it was like, I had to set out to prove that she was wrong. And I did. I was 6 figures. And then once I got there with no degree, I was like, okay, now I'll go get my degree. Because you said I couldn't do that.
Right.
But I think about how when, you know, my mom didn't have access to the academic side of things. She exposed me to everything else, but I didn't have that. That was something I had to figure out on my own. So when I think about people who at least had somebody in their life, a mentor or somebody that said, if you get your college degree, this is what
Opens up
can
to you.
be opened up for you. But I already thought all of that was opened up to me anyway, because my mom said I had access to everything, right?
That's really cool. So we have a lot of comments. I just need to jump in here. Jenna says, I saw Glodean's name and knew I didn't want to miss out on this conversation. I always learn so much. So you have fans in Fargo.
Jenna.
Next time you come back to Fargo.
Yeah, I know, right?
And then I said something about being afraid to say what we need to say. And Lindsay says, I'm not afraid. So Lindsay is speaking her truth. She's just, I love her influence. And then Sandy says, yes, Glodean, people are so disconnected from themselves, and our education system is doing our youth a disservice by not teaching more of this, along with critical thinking. Sandy she has a PhD and she coaches youth.
Oh, wow.
And Lindsay says, Sandy, I hear what you're saying. I somewhat disagree. I think our kids nowadays, they have a 13 and a 15-year-old, and believe that our schools are teaching our kids critical thinking. They know more than my parents.
I think it depends on the school. I can tell you those inner city schools, I mean, come on, they took handwriting out of the school.
Yeah, cursive, I know.
What the hell?
And they're teaching that math, that whatever that math is, that you have to have a half a chalkboard to figure out. I know.
All I know is that I used to tell my students, the next person that writes you, I always had something in my hand so I could do it. The next person that writes you, we're going outside in the hallway.
Oh, wow. So you've made them put the fear of writing into them.
And one of them said, what are we going to do when we get out there? I said, I'm going to have a real good talking to you, because I said, I'll never say in front of everybody what I need to say to one person directly. I would take you out in the hallway and tell you how your teachers or your teacher or teachers did you a disservice by making you think it's okay. Like, don't tell me you don't have an opinion. Like, you don't have an opinion about, they used to have to write these, respond to these writing prompts that were so asinine. Like something about teen pregnancy or something about, something political that didn't have anything to do with them. And they would say, well, I don't have an opinion. And well, not having an opinion is an opinion. If you don't have an opinion, talk about why you don't have an opinion.
Yeah.
It's 5 paragraphs. It's not that hard.
Well, it's just own you. Like who said this? Sandy, people are so disconnected from themselves.
Yeah.
And so getting to know you've talked about your mom. By the way, is that your next book?
Yes. I'm not sure okay. So I recognize that I wrote 2 books when I wrote this first book. The sequel to this book is almost finished.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I wrote so much. And then, but I kind of want to tell my mom's story.
Yeah.
So somewhere between those 2 books.
So there's a story in that, your existence in the world. There's a really good story about that. So do you want to just tell a little bit about that?
Which part?
About how you came to be in the world.
And I found out what actually happened.
Right. Okay. Good. Ooh, this is good. Okay. So tell the story. And then we're going to jump into your book, but tell your story about you.
So my mom adopted me as a single parent. And I thought that the belief in my family was that she was the first Black woman in California. She wasn't. They had a program where they let 30 single parents adopt children. My mom was one of those 30.
Wow.
So in truth, she really was one of the first.
Okay.
Because there were only 30
in
the 60s. Is that what I'm telling?
Your mom, I'm going to tell your story then. Okay. So your mom,
what part I'm telling.
Your mom was a single Black woman in the 60s who wanted to have a child and was single. And so she went through the process of adopting. And at the time, there were very few Black women, Black families that could adopt Black babies. Is that right?
Yeah. And so these 30 people, I don't know if they were Black.
This is a big part of this story.
I need to find out if they were Black. I know that there were 30 single parents that were allowed. I don't know how many of them are Black because they were telling 2-parent households no.
Right.
Oh, I know my mother beat them down till they say.
So that's what this is the story. So Glodean's mom. So she's this independent whatever. I don't know her, but I know her through you. Who had this burning desire to adopt a baby. She somehow got you. I think there's a part of the story that she lied about her age.
Yeah, she said she was 32,
and she was
42.
So she said she was 32.
Her whole thing was my mom was 23 until she died, and she was 72. So you walking with a cane, and somebody would ask something about age would come up, and she would say she was 23. Really, Mom?
I love it.
Through you? Okay, whatever. Anyway.
So she's by herself, older than your average new mother.
Yeah. Yes.
Bringing up this little baby by herself in a world that couldn't have been easy anyway. In California, where were you? Where?
In LA.
In LA.
Yeah, of all places.
Of all places, right? And so she teaches you lessons that it sounds to me like when I hear your story that it was just matter of fact. It was who your mother was.
Yep. Just no straight, no chaser.
Yep.
No filter. None of that.
And you learned all of these things. You learned because you don't know that what you are today is from your genetics because you don't know your genetics.
No, I don't think there's a picture of me pre-adoption, no smile, and post-adoption. And my mom and I, the picture's in the other room. My mom and I have the same. I think she taught me how to smile.
Wow.
Honestly. I'm sure that some stuff is genetic, but I think it's all the way down to the DNA molecular structure, but I don't think that any part of kind of how I move through the world has anything to do with my genetics and everything to do with my mother. Everything.
So there's a book called The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton, which says you can change your DNA by the way you think. Huh. And so you could be an example of that right there. And so Glodean has a presentation about who she is because of who her mother was that I heard her give last year, a year ago. And I am so looking forward to this book because I want to know who this woman was. And so I'm just setting all this up for everybody who's listening. So Jenna, you can have chills. Oh, whoopsie. Jenna says, I believe the humans who love us teach us how to smile. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
She also says, so good, I have chills. That's true.
Oh, yeah. My mom, she was a mess.
How do you mean that?
Because she just said whatever the hell she was thinking.
But that's not a mess.
It is when you're okay, I'll tell you what I mean. Oh, look, I found that picture. So this is me pre-adoption. I don't know if you can see this.
Yep, just kind of hanging out.
I was 3 months old.
Okay.
And this is me. So it's probably 1 or 2 months. Maybe I was 2 months in that picture.
Okay.
And of course that picture came up. And the other one I have to search for.
That's okay.
But this is the picture after my mom adopted.
Oh yeah. See, look at that. That's the Glodean smile we all know and love. So 2 months later, how old were you then?
But this is us together. This was when they took a picture of her in the newspaper.
Oh man.
Can you see her?
Look at that. The smile.
My smile.
Yes. Oh,
yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So my mom used to, okay, this is what I mean by this.
Yeah.
So you see how she's dressed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she swears she had on a house dress. You know what a house dress is, right?
Yep.
So my friends would say like they want to go do something or I wanted to dress like somebody, have the latest whatever clothes. And my mother would say, I wore house dresses when you were born so I could provide for you. But she would say it in front of other people who didn't see that picture. Yeah. So they could envision what a house dress was. And they wouldn't think that it was like a fancy something or other. Oh, you're in the most shabbiest of, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, it's still good.
Or one time we went to get, I love this story. Oh, look, there's my mommy. That's my mommy.
Yeah, that's the one I've seen. Yep.
Okay, you see that blue eyeshadow?
Yep.
She never wore makeup. We used to
Oh.
fight because she didn't want me to wear makeup. She didn't want me to model, and she didn't want me to wear makeup, both of which I did anyway. But one time we went shopping for shoes when I was in high school, and I was a size 11 in eighth grade. Eighth grade, I wore a size 11 shoe.
Mm-hmm.
My mom would come through the door of the store, and she would see a shoe. And instead of finding a salesperson, she would go, "Excuse me, do you have this in a size 11?"
No. And you were how old?
Like, oh,
I'm sure. Oh my gosh, no. Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Or like if the person that was helping us had bad breath. Like one time that happened, the sales guy was like, close to her face, and she kept saying, "Hold on, honey, hold on." And she was digging in her purse. Hold on. Digging. And he's looking at her, and I know she's getting ready to embarrass me. And she pulls out a peppermint from her purse and says, "Suck on this for a little while."
I love it.
Who does that? My mom.
Your mom. So this is part of what needs to go into the book. What is it, like shit my mom told me or something?
Shit my mommy used to say.
Shit my mommy used to say. And this is the book that's coming.
Shit my mama used to say and do.
And do. There you go. Right? You should have ... and do. That's so awesome. That's so awesome. This is from Leticia, our friend.
Hi, Leticia. Where have you been all my life? I miss you.
And you need to come back to Fargo. I'm just saying. Okay, so that book's coming. But let's go to the book now. Let's go to Salmon Croquettes. So this book is really cool. Could you set us up? What's the premise of the book?
It's a coming-of-age story of a young Black girl, 12-year-old Zayla, who is struggling with her sexuality. This is my elevator pitch.
Yeah, I know. You've done it many times, I can tell.
While growing up in a racially charged Watts, Los Angeles, because it's also historical fiction about the Watts riots. Yeah, that's it.
So you decided to put it in the YA? So it's young adult?
I did not decide to do that.
Didn't somebody write about that?
Here's what I'm thinking. Yeah, here's what I'm thinking happened. Because I think some of this book happened as an out-of-body experience. Because my character wouldn't leave me alone until I finished it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think she has very much has something to do with where we are right now. But when I started writing the book, I was writing it for adults. Mm-hmm. And then it stopped being about adults and became about anyone who was struggling with trying to create a new sense of self outside of their authentic self. Mm-hmm. Like, because I have never struggled with anything other than my weight. So I could only imagine, and I talked to a number of young people who were gay, who were either in the closet about it, or they were confused about it, or they were afraid to be who they were because of the household they grew up in. Because Black people, even now, I don't know how bad it is now, but I just know when I started this book and before that, homosexuality was a white man's disease, something you could get infected with.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember when my aunt asked me what my book was about, and I told her, and she said, "Are you trying to tell me something?" I was like, "No, you asked me what my book was about. I wanted to tell you something, I'd tell you."
Oh, that's awesome.
She's like, "You trying to tell me you're that way?" It takes her to talk about. I'm just like, oh, like my ears bleed when she talks about it. Yeah. So it's because people have that perception that I wanted to write it from a 12-year-old's perspective, right? Because I had read books about homosexual relationships, but the backstory always had some trauma associated with it. So I didn't want. I'm very protective of Zayla. I didn't want her to be to have been sexually assaulted or come from a one-parent household or to live in the ghetto. I didn't want anything that I wanted people to see a different Black story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I was in grad school, two of my thesis advisors, you know, this was my thesis at grad school, and two of the advisors, or whatever you call them, told me my characters were too nice to each other.
Wow. Okay, can I ask you a dumb question? Was your advisor white or Black?
White. The one Black person in my thesis, the chair, was Black. I just remember looking down the table at her, and she shook her head like, "Don't say anything." I was about to lose my, you know what?
Yeah.
What did you like? Okay, this is a community of people whose community exploded, and you want them to be at each other's throats and on top of the police brutality and all the other stuff? No, I said, even if that's the case in reality, I get to create a new reality in my fictional story.
Right.
How about that?
Tell us, for those of us who are naive white people and may not know about the historical part of this.
So the Watts riots, and I feel like they were probably the most misrepresented so-called race riots. I call them uprisings in the book, but the technical term is the Watts riots. In the summer of 1965, August 11th, a motorist got pulled over by the police. And the way the story is told is that the motorist got pulled over by the police. It was the hottest day of summer. Black people went crazy and started burning shit. But that's not what happened. It was all the stuff that they had been dealing with up to that point. All the restrictive covenants, you know, Lorraine Hansberry's father eliminated restrictive covenants, meaning that the real estate market couldn't discriminate against Black families when they were trying to move into certain areas. But as with most things, as people are starting to learn, like the 14th Amendment, there were always ways around that to protect white people from Black people encroaching upon their so-called space. So Black people lived in Watts and areas within that proximity because they couldn't live in other parts of Los Angeles. Plus, police brutality. We're talking 1965, 2021. It's still happening. The number of businesses that had been Black people had been pushed out of their businesses, and white owners came behind them and then came to the community and treated the people in the community like shit. Like, I'm buying from you and you're treating me like shit. Really? And I can't go anywhere else. Plus, there was not necessarily a food desert, but the stores that provided produce and goods to them wasn't where it should have been. You had to go a distance to get your groceries.
Okay.
So all of that, on top of the fact that that was the hottest day of summer, on top of the fact that the police officer pulled the guy over, they had a good exchange. The people that witnessed it said that the initial cop actually made jokes with the guy that had been pulled over, which is the way I write it. Everything that you read about the riots themselves happening are based on the research that I did.
Okay.
It's when the other police officers came and the tow truck came, the other like 4 or 5 cop cars came to pick up the guy because he was drunk and his brother, and then the mother came to get the car, and it was a big mess. But the violence escalated between the police and the people that were being arrested, and the people that were watching. Somebody saw a police officer hit a woman that had on a black smock, and they thought she was pregnant. You know the smocks you wear when you go get your hair done?
Oh, yep.
She had that on, and they thought, because it was billowing, they thought she was pregnant. And so it was like and then the motorcycle cops that came were riding their motorcycles up on the grass where children were playing. It's just a chaotic situation. And it escalated from that moment.
Okay. So that's the historical situation around which your book is written. And Zayla, and what you're doing is introducing a family, an extended family, because there are different members of this family, grandmothers and aunts and
play aunts, because you couldn't call adults by their first name.
Oh, that's
so
right.
Like her best friend Malik.
Yeah,
they're not really aunt. She calls them Aunt Evelyn and Uncle Bill, but they're not related by blood. It's just they're close friends of the family. So an uncle.
Okay, so there's a lot of really cool undertones in the book too, where you do get to know Zayla as everything's through her eyes, and so I think I know you did a great job of setting up the closeness of this family in spite of the things that happened, because there are other things that happen that come out later, that they stick together, and Zayla and her father have a really great relationship, and she struggles a bit with her mother, but who doesn't? I mean, who didn't? You didn't, but I did.
I did. What? When I became a teenager.
Yeah. So there's a lot of backstory as well as the historical fiction, and so you're gonna want to pick up this book. It's available. Where will it be available?
Wherever books are sold. That feels good.
Ferguson's bookstore. You have to get me some because I want to put it in my store. Okay. So Ferguson's Books in West Fargo will have it. And we're going to talk about doing a virtual book signing and book reading at the store at some point. So would you do us the pleasure of reading a little bit for us? Do you have a favorite part?
I do. I don't know if I can find it readily. So I have to tell you that this part that I'm about to read to you, this character stole the scene. I don't know where she came from. I did not even know that she was in the place when this happened. How much do you want me to read?
I don't know. Just give us a good taste of it, so we can get a sense of what the book's like.
Okay, so so this is the scene where Zayla's dad takes her to his nightclub because he needs to have a talk with her. And they walk into the nightclub, and she's describing what she sees. To the left was a wood-paneled wall covered with black and white photos of people like Sam Cooke, Jimmy Jones, Fats Domino, Jackie Wilson, and Buster Brown. Other photos showed Daddy standing with comedians like Red Fox, Moms Mabley, and Flip Wilson. In the main room, 4 large booths flanked the walls on my left and right. Sandwiched in between were 10 small tables and chairs. Against the farthest wall was a small stage, and in front of that, an even smaller dance floor. The bar was behind me. I heard her before I saw her. "Hey, Frank, that ain't who I think it is it?" The woman standing behind the bar was tall like Daddy. Taller if I included the enormous blonde beehive she wore. Pin curls hugged her hairline, and huge gold teardrop earrings hung from her nose. My eyes followed her every movement. "Millie, what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be home cooking Sunday dinner for your man?" "Child, please, don't talk to me about that man. Ever since he retired, he don't do nothing but sit around the house thinking up ways to get on my damn nerves. If he don't watch out, I'm going to be up in here looking for his replacement. Shit, I need a break every now and then. Excuse my French, sugar," she said, smiling at me. "Miss Millie," Daddy announced, taking off his hat and bowing. "This is my heart, Zayla. Zayla, this here is Miss Millie. She's somebody you always want to know." "Well, it's nice to meet you, Miss Zayla," she said, waving the bar rag at me. I've heard a lot about you. Come over here and let me fix you a drink." Daddy had to nudge me to get me moving. I couldn't believe he was allowing me to drink alcohol, but I ran over to the bar before he could change his mind. "She's going to have to get it to go, Millie. We have an appointment on the roof." Miss Millie placed a tall glass on the bar and filled it with ice and 7-Up. She poured red liquid in and dropped 2 cherries on top. "You show is the cutest thing I've ever seen. Frank, how did you and Zora end up making such a beautiful child?" She laughed. "Lord knows she don't get her looks from neither one of you. You can tell Zora I said so." She laughed even louder. Miss Millie's lashes looked like 1,000 spider legs waving at me above shiny 14-karat gold lips. Her skin was smooth, warm dark brown, and she smelled like spiced fruit and chamomile. She handed me my drink. "This here is what they call a Shirley Temple in them white clubs, but since that ain't where you are, we gonna call this a Skinny McKinney, after your daddy."
That's so awesome. And I love the accent, man. I love, because when I read it, I didn't have that.
Right.
That's, I hope, are you doing an audio?
I am. I am. I
Oh,
actually am going up to a friend's house to record it in her studio.
oh, good. That'll be so awesome.
Yeah.
So who says this? Riveting. I can't wait. This is Sandy. Riveting. Can't wait to read this book.
Thank you.
It's so good.
Yeah, Millie, I don't know where she came from. That I don't even.
That.
Just I let it happen.
Millie, yep, Millie just happened. So, will you please tell everyone who is listening where you wrote a good portion of this book?
Well, toward the end, I wrote it in Fargo.
Yeah.
I finished it in Fargo.
Yep.
A good portion of it was written at the Borders in Matson, Illinois. Really? I went there every day for 6 months, like it was my job. Mm-hmm. And I was there from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. That's how I wrote so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you made it a job, it sounds like, for a while.
Well, because I had just I just finished grad school and I'd moved to Chicago. And my aunt and uncle were giving me free room and board. So I thought I'd take advantage of it while it lasted.
So how long ago was that?
Oh, I'm scared to say. 2008. So
this has been a labor of love that's taken a long time. So when Leticia, I was going to say, when Glodean came to Fargo, she did meet Leticia in Fargo too. Yeah. But this was, I was really excited to see that this was going to be the culmination of this book. You spent about 10 days here in August and September of this last year. And it was really fun to be able to read part of it while it was being finished.
Hot off the presses.
It's so much fun. So much fun.
Yeah.
So how do you feel?
I cried when the galley copy came. Mm-hmm. Literally. Mm-hmm. I bawled. Yeah. Because this is my baby.
Yeah.
And I just have to say, this cover, I visualized this cover years ago when I started writing. I finished it in 2015. And then I had a bad experience with an agent. Let's make a long story short. She wanted me and then she didn't want me. Whatever. She wanted me up till chapter 16 and then she didn't want me the last 3 chapters. And so I stopped writing until 2019.
Wow.
So for 4 years, well, from 2016 to 2019, I was like.
So I want you to hold the book up again.
Oh, yeah.
So now tell us about that, because I remember you weren't sure this was what the cover was going to be. There were a lot of different iterations. So you said, I
always wanted this, though. I visualized this. But the artist that I was working with before didn't quite do this. She did something else, but I still wanted this. And then my marketing coach, who I've been working with for the book, referred me to her illustrator. Mm-hmm. And I swear this is how it happened. She sent me 2 pictures. One was of a kitchen with these colors, and one was of a kitchen with these colors and a different floor. And the other one had this black and white tile floor and a different kitchen. And I said I wanted a gingham print tablecloth, and I wanted Zayla's back to the viewer, and I wanted this black and white tile kitchen floor. We put this kitchen together. This was actually a modern kitchen, and she took it back and made it circa 1960s. Yeah. And then she put the window above the sink, just like it is in the book. Yeah. So like, you're going to be reading this book, and there's going to be a scene in chapter 2 that's going to make you flip back over and look at the cover. Yeah. Because the dad's going to be at the table reading his paper, and the mom's making salmon croquettes, which are on the table with the red beans and rice.
So good.
And that's the mom right there. She did such an awesome job.
So good. Love it. And I love the color. Well, and what you said earlier about Black people loving color, there you go. You got that color. Look at, and I love color.
Exactly.
So Leticia says, Jodee, we watched Glodean in labor toward the end of the last trimester of that baby.
That's right.
We sure did, Leticia. Oh my gosh, that's funny. That is so exciting. I can't wait for all of you to have the opportunity to get that book. Glodean, how would they get that, and what would they do now? Can they still get in on the pre-order's probably too late, but how about the event?
So I was thinking, this is what I'm thinking about doing. I want to do something fun to do a book tour since I can't go into
Yeah.
bookstores to read. So I'm going to rent an RV trailer and I'm going to drive around to different bookstores. And I'm thinking about doing it cross country.
Oh my gosh,
If
that
I
would be so
drive
good.
cross country, I'll drive to Fargo with my trailer.
Oh my gosh, that would be so
I'm going to read in front of every bookstore that I go to. So it'll be a virtual bookstore, but from inside the RV. And I'll be like, I'm in front of, like here in Oakland, and I'm sorry, in the Bay Area, we have this bookstore called Marcus's Bookstore. So I'll be like, I'm in front of Marcus Bookstore. And then I'll do my reading, and then I'll drive to the next place.
That's so great. Well, in Fargo, you can come. Everything's open. You can come.
Yeah. Oh, and then I can read.
Yeah, you
Okay,
can do
cool.
everything.
Let's do it.
And you can actually, I'm just trying to figure out how to put this like on the bottom of the screen. Okay, there we go. There's the name of the book. You can read it in person, or we have a flat screen TV. So we could actually have you read from there, and we could just get a bunch of books there, and you could sign the plates, the stickers, and put them on the inside.
Okay.
So we can do that.
All right. All about that.
And Sandy said something earlier about how you have to put this on audio, so you do.
Okay, I will.
You have to.
I think what I'm working out the voices. So obviously I've got Miss Millie's voice down.
You do, you do. That's so good. So somebody who said this, see Sandy, she said, I love the RV book tour idea. She's got a glamper.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Sandy's a camper. She's got her own camper. And is it a glamper, Sandy? I think it is. It's sort of glamorous camping. And, so love that idea. This is Leticia. That's awesome.
I'm excited.
When are you going to start that?
Probably in April.
That's coming right up.
I think.
So you said you're going to rent it, or are you going to buy it?
No, I'm not going to buy it. Because I don't have the store.
No, I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah, I might. Yeah. I mean, shoot, those things are expensive like a hotel room.
I know. Yeah. Sandy's got a glamper. She says, yep, it's a glamper.
Nice.
So we'll have to show you pictures of Sandy with her dog and her glamper.
Yeah.
And Glodean's got a dog too. And I'm guessing Tasha will come along everywhere you go.
She will. She's in the window right now. The other day, she's so cute, but the other day I couldn't take her to the beach because I was busy. So whenever I don't take her to the beach, right now she's on top of my sofa on a pillow that faces so she can look out the window. And when she has an attitude with me, whenever I walk by, she'll look up and give me a side eye. She won't even turn her head. Just look at me like this as I'm walking past and watch me. And then when I come back, she goes like this.
Oh, she's so cute. So for a long time when you were here, I had Tashi prints on my window because I didn't clean the inside of my window when I had my car washed, and I could see her nose prints on my window because she rode in my car. So if they wanted to get the book now, you said any bookstore, it
doesn't come out until March 24th.
Okay, March 24th, everybody.
But after March 24th, you'll be able to get it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or any place like that. But if you want a signed copy, you can order it directly from me.
Okay. And
at blackmusepublishing.com.
Okay, I got to create a new banner. blackmusepublishing.com. So get a hold of. Sorry. I know that hurt my ear a little bit.
I meant to pause that.
blackmusepublishing.com.
Oh, do / Salmon Croquettes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Because there will be 5 other books eventually, and you're not going to want to get mixed up.
Right.
Yes. Okay, let me try this again.
In case somebody's seeing this 5 years from now.
Sure. Right. Exactly. So I have to find where I put that one. I'm still working on the technology of this.
That's really cool.
Publishing.com / Salmon Croquettes. So here it is, everyone. Oops, not that one, this one. There we go. So go out and find it now. Glodean will sign it and send it to you. I bet.
I will. I'm sorry. Don't kill me. Salmon - Croquettes.
Oh, okay.
There's a space.
There's a dash. I'll just edit it. I can do that. You said a dash, not a space?
Yeah.
Not an underline? Okay. Okay. Save. And this is so hard. This is just, there's just too much to do here. There. How's that?
Perfect.
Okay. blackmusepublishing.com/salmon-croquettes.
Yeah.
And you can get the book now. And there have been many, many requests for it to be on audio very soon. So you're going to a friend's house and you're going to record it. You're working on the voices now.
Yeah.
The different characters. And we can't
I'm
wait.
hoping to have the audio ready by the 24th as well.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay. Well, we'll hold that space for that to happen for you.
Yeah.
And as always, it is such a pleasure to always connect with you, and to just, I love that you allow me to be me with you, and
Of course.
You cause me to be a better version of me, because I feel safe, and I feel safe asking questions that I might not know the answer to. I do my best to feel what it must feel like to be you, and I don't know. I have no idea.
It's awesome. It's like being in a Lego movie.
In a Lego movie?
Everything is awesome. I'm just kidding.
I love it. I love it. Oh, and you are like that. If you don't know Glodean in real life, you do by seeing her here, because this is just exactly how she is. And you know, it's fake to believe that we're always up all the time, but we have conversations even when we're not up, Glodean, but somewhere deep down, we know that we both see the best in each other and the best in the world. And it's so fun to be able to connect in that space of a higher frequency, a higher vibration, because even though we dip down, we can't really ever go back.
I agree. And again, I am so grateful that I have you in my life. And so there will never be a question. Like my mom used to say, the only stupid question is the one you don't ask.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep. Jenna says, I totally get the Lego movie reference. You got to meet Jenna when you come back to Fargo.
Okay. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thank you, my friend. And I can't wait to get my book. I'm so looking forward to it. Okay. Love you.
Right. Love you too. Bye, everybody.
See ya. Bye, everybody. Bye.